Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a little bit in this video about what's in the latest release. The release number for this is 18.1, so this is beta 18.1. So to make sure that you have this particular version of the code, just go to the help menu, scroll down a little bit and look at this version number down here. It should say beta 18.1. If it doesn't, you want to click the reload button or the browser refresh button and refresh the grid designer. Be sure and save anything if you're working on something, in the tab. Be sure and save whatever you're working on before you do the refresh. Okay, so there are several little features that were added to this release. I'm going to show them here. So the first one's in the digitization area. So I'm going to pick project, create from image. That brings up our digitization um, thing here. And let's go to, where am I? Be into here. Photos. Okay, and we're going to go to Pixabay. And we're going to pick up um, a nice sunset here. I'm going to show you a new feature. Let's put up maybe the diamond painting palette because that's a relatively new palette. Okay, and now this is one of the issues that the original digitization had is that when we have a nice gradient of blue here, we've kind of got a light blue going to a dark blue. Um, then what happens in the digitization of that is you end up with these basically stripes, right? Because as it gets darker, it will then put in the right color blue here. But what we want is we want that gradient of color to be nicely done. And so what I've done is I've added dithering to the digitization algorithm. So now we've got two dithered options. So we can pick dithered smooth, and there's a dithered pixelated, which doesn't show up too much differently in this type of picture, but you can definitely tell the difference between these two in certain pictures because the smoothing will give you kind of a more of a blurry, smoothed out sort of look, and the pixelated one will give you'll get more detail in there. So it depends upon the picture and what you want, how you want it to look. But let me just keep it on smooth here and let's go out and just take a look quick at what this picture looks like. Okay. Another thing that I've changed is I prompt you if you want to save the project after you've created a new project, then I brought this box up here in case you want to save it. You can always save it later, and I'm going to just do that. I'm just going to do this close. So to be able to see this a little bit better, let's turn off the grid so we can see the picture here. One of the things I like to do is make it look a little bit smaller and see how that looks, that kind of thing. Okay. So, but anyway, you can see the dithering here. There are no stripes now across the sky or in the water. So as the colors are changing, we've got this dithering going on. So that's just a new feature. Let's also go back into the create from image. And I'll show you another feature we've got here, which is shading. So now we can shade things on different sides of the picture. Now, my first use of this was to shade a face so that I have these portrait pillows that I did for in crochet. And in some instances, um, if the face has too much brightness on it, it's nice to shade it from one side to the other because then that gets kind of some striping of colors across the face. And so that's one thing that I've used the shading for. Also, if you have something like where you've got, like I had something bright in the middle, like a real bright sunrise, then you can shade it on the sides and on the bottom and such, and that'll make that spot look even brighter in the picture. So you could do whatever uses you can think of for doing this. But I want to show it to you on a really simple picture so that you can see exactly what it's doing. So I'm just going to pick up this here, and I'm going to say shading. And let's just click this first button. It's going to shade from left to right, but it's going to do it on the right edge. The darkest part is going to be on the right edge of the picture. Okay, so it shaded this section of the picture here. Now, when you're doing shading, if it depends upon the picture, but if the picture doesn't have a lot going on in it, then you probably want to use a dithered um, type over here. Because if you do put this on and it's very in a pretty straightforward picture like this where you can see it, you're going to see bands of color as it changes. You're going to see stripes over here. So you want to have the dithering on, unless sometimes you can shade in a picture where there's a lot going on and you won't notice any kind of striping or anything like that. So it depends upon the picture. Now over here, there are four of these things, one for each side of the picture. So this shades the right side, the left side, the top edge, and the bottom edge. And this number over here is the percentage of the picture that is shaded. So from the right side, 33% is shaded, which is a third of the picture. So we could increase this to something like 75%. Let's undo the last shading and then add shading here again. Did I click that? There it goes. Okay. So now it's going 75% across the whole picture. So this just controls how wide that band of shading is on the edge of the picture. Okay, one more thing in here I want to show you is that you can now lock colors to force the digitizer to use a particular color. So let me pick up this cat picture here. Okay. And let's go over here and change the palette. Let's go down and make it a latch hook rug. Okay. And we'll change our digitization type. Probably don't need dithering in this picture. Okay, so we've got our palette changed here. Now, what would be nice here is to be able to reduce the number of colors here. So say to around 10 or so. So it's a much more manageable number of colors. So let's go in here and start changing the colors. So it bring it down to 20, which is still a pretty good picture. I've got the pink tongue and I've got the green eyes in here. And now let's try going down to 10. Now what happens here is we lose that bright color in the eyes and we're losing the pink tongue here. And that's because those are smaller areas and they're being removed by the digitizer as basically kind of the least used colors. And so we're getting kind of a washed out face here. And so what we want to do is I want to go back up to number 20, got up to 20, where I last saw the green and the pink. And if I click on one of those colors here, I can get it in the list here. And notice on the right side here are now these little locks, which were not there before. You were able to click on the color and turn it off, but now you can actually lock the color on. So I'm going to click on the pink color for the tongue. And let's pick on, let's see, there's a pale sage, but I think there's a lime also. There we go. I think I want that lime because it's a brighter color. So I'm going to lock that one on here. Okay, and now when I reduce this down to 10 colors, then we're going to retain that pink color in the tongue and the green color in the eyes because we've locked those on. Okay, so just wanted to show that one thing there. Let's put our grid lines back on and let's just go display menu here. And just to show you, there's a new rotate option here. Someone requested that they wanted to be able to rotate the picture. I think was that they wanted to work on it in a certain way, and they wanted the angle to be different. So there's now a rotation here where you can rotate the entire thing. So we'll come back around to straight up there. Okay, great. Um, next thing is I've been made some changes to the grid size dialog. This is the dialog I use in a lot of videos to add a border to the outside of a picture or to rescale the entire picture. So this will allow you to change pictures or change the number of rows. There's lots of different things, and I've demoed lots of different ways to use this. But there was always one feature that was missing that was always bugging me, and that was that I had not put the units on here, like inches and centimeters, so that you could tell exactly how big your project was going to be when it was finished. Now, right now, this one doesn't show that. It doesn't show the height and width in inches or centimeters in here. And that's because when I made this project really quickly here, I didn't go in and set the type of project that it was, and I didn't set a relationship between the grid and the real world measurements of inches or centimeters. So I'm going to close this. Now, there are ways to set that relationship between the grid and inches and centimeters inside of new project and inside of create from image, the two things that make new projects. But if you have an existing project and you haven't set that, real world sizing information, then you would go to display and pick cell size and type. Okay, and here we can say this is a diamond painting project. And then we can pick this what types of drills we want to use. They were using square drills. So that now it knows that one space on the grid is 2.5 millimeters. And so now it can compute the size of the entire picture. So we say save changes. And now if I go back to grid size, what I will see is I will see the number of centimeters that this picture will be. So now we have a height of 33.25 and a width of 50. So let's see. We want to maybe get it into more of a rounded numbers or something. So we might want to modify one of these. I might leave the 50 and we'll change this and bring it down to maybe 30. So we have a 30 by 50 centimeter picture. Now, if I check this maintain aspect ratio, then when I change one of these, it will change the other one, and I don't want it to do that. I'm going to have the picture kind of stretch itself a little bit, just to make this side just a little bit shorter, and I don't want to have that on. Okay, so I'm going to leave that unchecked because I just want to change one of these without it automatically changing the other one. But I do want to click this one down here. That's going to scale the existing drawing to fit whatever space I define in here. If I don't click this thing, then what happens is the rows and columns get changed on the outside. And if I reduce them, it'll just clip off part of the picture. And that might be what you want. Or if you add them, it will add a border on the outside of the picture. So I'm going to click that one because I want it to rescale the drawing. So now when I go in here and I change this row down to 120, then it computes as it goes. And so we've now got 30 by 50, which is taking off 13 rows. And then it's going to basically squash it a little bit because I've got this scale existing drawing to fit. So it's going to squash it, vertically. So let's say save changes. Okay. And it didn't change it that much. I think the trees, you can tell, maybe are a little squishier than they were before. But in a lot of cases, you can turn the aspect ratio thing off and size a picture the way you want it, and it'll come out about the same. Okay. So let's see. There's one more thing I want to do. So let's go back to, we'll close this, go back to our default project here. There's one change in the library that I wanted to show. So I'm going to click on the library here. Um, Pick on this three-leaf clover just up here at the top. Okay. Now, when a pattern is in the library, it was made with some other palette other than the one that you're currently editing with. So what we want to do is we need to make some kind of substitution from what the pattern was created with to the current palette. So the colors that are in the pattern have to be substituted in most cases. So for this green that was not found in my current palette, I'm going to pick this other green. Now for this one, I'm going to pick my background color, which is red, because I would like to make it so that this middle color just disappears. That's my goal. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now let's just see what that gets us when we pick use pattern. Okay. So now we have this clover here, and it did indeed put the background color in the center here, but it made it a solid color. Instead of making it transparent like this background on the outside of this, it's a solid color of red. Now there is a way to make this internal color here transparent. So let's go back and we'll pick our three-leaf clover again. We substitute that darker green, and then we're going to make this red. And now, anytime that I substitute a color with my current background color, I'm now going to get these two buttons, and these are new in this release. This button here will, if it's selected, will make the red, the background color, solid in the pattern. And that's what we just did. We left that selected and we ended up with solid color inside here. And so now we can pick this other one, and that says make transparent in the pattern. So if I click on that one, now that one is selected, and then I say use pattern, then what I get is transparent cells in here that look just like it was, just as if it was the background. And so I've taken the background out. So I've effectively taken a pattern, and by substituting the background color and making it transparent, I've removed a color from the pattern. And this is something you could do with any pattern. It's basically a way to remove the color from the pattern so that you don't see it. Now, um, let's see, let's get out of here. Okay, so just to show you real quick, just to make sure you understand what the transparency means, I'm going to just draw something real quick on here. And if you want to, if you've done a library, picked a library pattern or something, and you had it just a second ago, you can go down here and you can click the paste button and you can get it back. So just to show how that's transparent through there, I want to draw something underneath there so you can see that that's that's transparent on top of there. And you always have the option then later on, you can also use this button down here in the paste area to toggle the background on and off in that object. So anyway, that is a way to remove a color from a library pattern. Okay, so I think that's about it. I guess, oh, there's one other thing in the library here. I've tried to make the access to the library a little bit faster. And if you have a filter on like this, it used to, every time you came in here, you had to reset your filter. And so that is not that way anymore. So for instance, if I set my filter over here and I say close, and then I open my library up again, then that filter gets reset automatically. So whatever search criteria you have in here, when you close it and come back, it should still hold on to that. Thank you very much for watching. Happy designing. Bye bye.